Brian Koberger's plea deal has been met with dismay and relief. So let's talk about whether or not this was a good thing. This was an absolute nightmare to have to live through, and I'm sure that anyone who knew Xana, Ethan, Kaylee, or Madison is happy in at least some way to know that he will be spending life behind bars for certain. Also, if you blame the roommates, you're a bad person, point blank, period. People were worried he was gonna walk. I don't think that was ever really a real possibility. But on the side of criticism for plea deals, Kaylee's brother's impact statement had to be read outside the courtroom because it was inappropriate. It wasn't rude or disrespectful, but instead it criticized the state of Idaho and that prosecutor for doing so many plea deals. This plea was made without consulting any of the family, and I'm sure some of them wanted it to go to trial so that they could get more answers. But at the same time, I could see the argument that trials further traumatize the family. And what I found interesting was that he also pointed out several plea deals that negotiated down the charges against a defendant. He touched on an Idaho case where a man beat his pregnant partner to death, and the plea deal negotiated his second-degree murder charge down to manslaughter, which comes with a lower prison sentence. I think a lot of the families wanted Brian Koberger to get the death penalty, and that makes sense, I get that. But something that worried me was that the surviving roommates have been called to testify for the defense, which basically means that the defense was going to absolutely grill them up on the stand and try to poke holes in their stories. And I know that for Dylan and Bethany, that would have been extremely traumatizing. Because, these were their best friends, and you may not have felt like they acted correctly that night and that morning, but honestly, we've never been in this situation. And in the One Night in Idaho documentary, you can see how just these college students were not thinking about murder. They were so shocked by what happened that even the person who found their bodies was not saying that they were dead. He was like, oh, it's an unconscious person. I just feel like these people were not familiar with the brutality of humans and were just really shocked by what had happened. I hate that these families are going through what is absolutely the worst thing you could ever go through, and on top of that, they have to deal with the court of public opinion. I just really did not like the side of the true crime community that I saw with this case, and it kind of made me not really want to talk about true crime as much, because these cases do upset me. I know that people on here think that I'm this calloused sociopath who doesn't give a shit about these people, but I cry while researching some of these videos. Let me know what you guys think about Brian Koberger's plea deal in the comments.